Today's lecture is on Introduction to Traffic Engineering. Okay, we shall study about traffic engineering. So, in the field of traffic engineering, the engineers must look to minimize the traffic flow and reduce instance of congestion, the movement of vehicles on roads and highways, and the movement of pedestrians. So, what is the objective of traffic engineering? Its objective is to providing high efficient traffic flow through ample research and innovation design efforts and to produce free flow of traffic. Now, according to the Institute of Traffic Engineers, USA, they define traffic engineering as the traffic engineering is a phase of engineering which deals with planning and geometric design of streets, highways, abutting lands, and with traffic operation as their use is related to safe, convenient, and economic transportation of persons and goods. So, traffic engineering is a branch of engineering which deals with the improvement of the traffic performance of road networks and terminals. So, how can you achieve this? So, this is achieved by systematic traffic studies. Okay, so the scientific analysis and engineering applications. So, the method includes planning and geometric design on one hand and regulation and control on the other. So, traffic engineering deals with the application of scientific principles, tools, techniques, and findings for safe, rapid, convenient, and economic movement of people and goods. So, coming to the scope of traffic engineering. So, the basic objective of traffic engineering is to achieve efficient, free, and rapid flow on traffic with least number of traffic accidents. Okay, so the study of the traffic engineering may be divided into 6 major sections, okay, such as the traffic characteristics, then traffic operation, control and regulation, the traffic studies and analysis, planning and analysis, geometric design, and administration and management. Okay, so the various aspects that are covered under traffic operations are the regulations, control, okay, and the warrants for applications and controls. So the regulations may be in the form of laws and ordinances or other traffic regulatory measures such as speed limit. Okay, so installation of traffic control devices like signs, signals, okay, and islands are the most common means to regulate and control the traffic. So, the actual adoption of traffic management measures such as traffic regulations and control needs attention. So, traffic planning is a separate phase of major highways like expressways, then the arterial roads, okay, and parking facilities. So, all aspects such as the cross section and surface details, the side distance requirement, the horizontal and vertical alignment, okay, and intersection and parking facilities are to be suitably designed for better performance. So the various phases of traffic engineering are implemented with the help of 3 E's. So these 3 E's are the engineering, enforcement, and education. Okay, so the engineering deals with the improvement of road geometric providing additional road facilities and installation of suitably designed traffic control devices. The enforcement is usually made through traffic laws, regulations, and control. Okay, so the education may be possible by sufficient publicity and through schools and televisions. So coming to the traffic characteristics, so we have the first is a road user characteristics. So this is divided the various factors, okay, which affect the road user characteristics may be classified under 4 heads. We have the physical characteristics, we have the mental characteristics, the psychological characteristics, and the environmental characteristics. So we shall study each one of them in more detail. So first one is the physical characteristics. So the physical characteristics of the road users may be either permanent or temporary. Okay, so the pavement characteristics are the vision, hearing, strength, and the general reactions to the traffic situation. The vision, okay, vision plays the most important role of all of these. So the objects or the other vehicles located in the fairly clear and peripheral fields may draw the driver's attention to an important event occurring in that field, such as the approach of a vehicle on an intersection, street, or a driveway. So, once noticed, the driver may turn his or her head to examine the details of the situation. So, the vision plays the important role. So this includes the acuity of vision, the peripheral vision and the eye movement, the glare vision, the glare recovery and the depth judgment. So the minimum standards for acuity of vision are often laid down by the licensing authority. So the field of clearest and the acute vision is within a cone. Okay, you can see it's within a cone whose angle is only 3 degrees. Through the vision is fairly satisfactory up to 10 degrees in general and even up to 20 degrees in the horizontal plane. So however, in the vertical plane, the field of clear vision may be about 2/3, okay, in that horizontal plane. So these factors are particularly taken care of while designing and installing the control devices. So as the field of clear vision is limited, the road users have to often shift their eyes within the peripheral vision to obtain the clear vision. So the total time taken for the eye movement depends on some of the physical characteristics, including the response to stimuli. So the effect of the glare, adaptability to changes of light, that is the darkness to light and the bright light to darkness, should be studied. Okay, so the depth judgment is important for a driver in judging distance and the speed of vehicles and other objects ahead. So hearing will help the driver in a way, though it is more important for pedestrians and cyclists. Okay. So the reaction to traffic situation depends on the time which is required to perceive and understand the traffic situations and to take the appropriate action. So hearing, as I told you, will help the driver. It is important. It is important for pedestrians and cyclists. So though strength is not an important factor. Okay, in general, lack of strength may make the parking maneuvers difficult, particularly for heavy vehicles. So the reaction to traffic will depend upon the time which is required to perceive and understand the traffic situation. This depends on many factors such as the permanent and the temporary physical factors, the mental and the psychological setup, the speed and the environmental factors. So coming to next is the mental characteristics. So knowledge, skill, intelligence, experience and literacy can affect the road user characteristics. So the knowledge of the vehicle characteristics, the traffic behavior, the driving practice, the rules of roads and the psychology of the road users will be quite useful for the safe traffic operations. So the reactions to certain traffic situations become more spontaneous with the experience. So understanding the traffic regulations and special instructions and timely action depends upon the intelligence and the literacy. Next we have the psychological characteristics. Okay, so the distractions by non-traffic events and worries reduce attentiveness to the traffic situations. Then the dangerous actions also are likely due to impatience. Next is the environmental characteristics. So the various environmental conditions which are affecting the behavior of the road users are the traffic stream characteristics, the facilities to traffic atmospheric conditions and the locality. So the traffic stream may consist of mixed traffic or heavy traffic, whereas the facilities to overtake for faster vehicles may be limited. Then the adaptability to different traffic stream characteristics depends upon the driver's characteristics as well as the motivation. Okay, so the total reaction time of the driver vary considerably from the driver to driver based on the road user characteristics. Next is the vehicular characteristics. So it is important, okay, to study the vehicular characteristics which affect the design and the traffic performance, because it is possible to design a road for any vehicle but not for an indefinite vehicle. So basic criteria of highway engineering is to cater for the needs of the existing and anticipated traffic. So it will not be economically feasible, right, to keep on increasing the geometric standards and thickness of pavements from time to time to meet the needs for a few vehicles whose dimensions and weights are increased. Hence, the vehicle standards should be uniform at least within a country, keeping in view the large percentage of existing vehicles and those likely to be manufactured in the near future. So the standards of the dimensions and the weights of vehicles should be consistent with the road facilities now available or could be made available in the near future. So the various vehicular characteristics which are affecting the road designs may be classified as the static and the dynamic characteristics of the vehicles. So let us understand the static characteristics. So static characteristics of vehicles affecting the road design are the dimensions, the weight, and the maximum turning angle. So the height of the vehicle affects the clearance of the overhead structures. So the height of the driver's seat affects the visibility distance, and the height of the headlight affects the headlight side distance at the valley curves. So the field vision ahead of the driver also depends upon the design of the windshield and the front portion of the vehicle body. Next is the dynamic characteristics of vehicles affecting the road design are the speed, the acceleration, and the braking characteristics on some aspects of the vehicle body design. So the speed and acceleration depends upon the power of the engine and resistance to overcome. Next is the vehicular characteristics. So the dimensions to be mainly considered are the overall width, height, and the length of the different vehicles. Okay, so the width of the vehicle affects the width of the traffic lanes, shoulders, and parking facilities. So if the width of the vehicles are not adequate in the view of the widest vehicles using road, the capacity of road will decrease. So the length of the vehicle is an important factor in the design of horizontal alignment as it affects the extra width of the pavement and minimum turning radius. So this is a table showing the maximum dimensions of road vehicle, which is given by S.K. Khanna in C. Justo book, Highway Engineering. So the dimensions of the vehicle is the width, okay, details all vehicles. The maximum dimension excluding the front and the rear bumper is 2.5. Similarly for height and length, okay, you should go through this table here, which is showing the maximum dimensions of the road vehicle. Coming to vehicular characteristics, the maximum weight of the road vehicles affects the design of the pavement thickness and the gradients. Okay, so the next is the power of the vehicle. So the power of the heaviest vehicle, okay, and the loaded weights govern the permissible and limiting values of the gradients on the roads. So the total resistance of traction consisting of inertia, the rolling resistance, the air resistance, and the grid resistance are considered. Next is speed of vehicle. So the vehicle speed affects the side distances, then the super elevation, then the length of the transition and limiting radius on horizontal curves, then length of transition curves on vertical valley curves and on humps, the width of the pavement and shoulders on straight and horizontal curves, the design gradient, the capacity of traffic lane, and the design and control measures on intersections. Next is the braking characteristics. So the deceleration braking characteristics of vehicle depend upon the design and type of the braking system, okay, such as the mechanical, fluid, or the air brake and its efficiency. So the safety of the vehicle operation, stopping distance, and the spacing between the two consecutive vehicles in a traffic stream are affected by the braking capacity. So coming to the braking test, so it is possible to measure the skid resistance of pavement surface under the prevailing conditions by conducting the braking test on the road at the desired running speed. Okay, so at least 2 of the 3 measurements are needed during the braking test in order to determine the skid resistance of the pavement, which includes the braking distance, then the initial speed, and the actual duration of the brake applications. So let us understand this problem here. Let us read this. In a braking test, a vehicle traveling at a speed of 30 km/h was stopped, okay, by applying brakes fully, and the skid marks were 5.8 meters in length. Determine the average skid resistance of the pavement surface. So in this problem, we are told that we need to determine the average skid resistance of the pavement surface. What is given to us is a vehicle is traveling at a speed is given as 30 km/h. It was stopped by applying brakes, okay, and the skid marks were 5.8 meters in length. So we have to first of all we have to convert this initial speed. It is given in km/h to meter per second, okay, by dividing it by 3.6. Then what is given to us is a braking distance, okay, that is L, that is 5.8 is given to us, okay, 5.8 meters. Then we can find the average skid resistance. That is the initial speed upon 2gf. Okay, we shall solve this problem here. Solution. So initial speed, that is u, initial speed u equals to, it is 30 kmph, convert to meter per second, 30 upon 3.6, this will be 8.33 meter per second. Then is the braking distance L. .8 meters, u square upon 2g f. Okay. So average skid f, average skid .33 square upon 2 into 9.8 into 5.8. So this will be equal to 0.61. Okay. Next problem. A vehicle moving at 40 kmph speed was stopped by applying the brake and the length of the skid mark was 12.2 meters. If the average skid resistance of the pavement is known to be 0.7, determine the braking efficiency of the test vehicle. So what we need to find is, we need to determine the braking efficiency. Okay, what is given is, the speed is given, right? 40 kmph speed is given. Then length of the skid mark is 12.2, that is capital L. Then small f, okay, average skid resistance to the pavement is 0.70. Okay, so we need to determine the braking efficiency of the test vehicle. So let us, we need to determine the braking efficiency. What is given is a speed, right? Length is given 12.2, applying the brake and length of the skid mark, okay, capital L. If the average skid resistance is given to us, right, is 0.70. So coming to solution, so speed is given 40 upon 3.6, this will be 1 point. Then what is given to us? L is given 12.2 meters. Then F is given, average skid resistance is 0.70, right? So average skid resistance developed, okay, average skid resistance developed f dash equals to v square upon 2g L. So this will be equal to 11.7 square upon 2 9.8 into L is 12.2. This will be equal to 0.516. So coming to braking efficiency, next is brake efficiency. That is in percentage. This will be 100 f dash upon f, which will be equal to 100 into 0.516 upon 0.70. So this will be equal to 73.7%. Okay, so this is the end to this problem here. I shall end my lecture here.